You got Andrew Lang here from Content 12. If you subscribe now, and you got Ace's top 10 takeaways with you here, Ace's TTT, and we linked up together. We actually got a name for the show. We're on our second episode today. We talked about environment last week, and that was a good show. And we named this not a podcast, but we named this a ShockCast.
ShockCast, baby.
The ShockCast, and ShockCast means that we're going to give you a shot of what, Lang?
Shot of inspiration. Each of us, every show will try to give you a shot, man. We'll take our shot to give you a shot of inspiration so that you can take it back to your people and inspire them inside of their environment, like we talked about last week.
Yeah, so pretty much something you can listen to, get a shot of it, and keep it moving in life, and a little nugget that you could keep and use and utilize in the future. So we're going to keep trying to bring you some stuff to inspire you, motivate you, educate you, and help you keep moving forward in life. And today we're here to talk about leadership. And we're coming from a place where both of us are leaders. And we've been in the leadership. I haven't been in it quite as long as you, but I did have a business before where I was a leader there for about 10 years. So I know you've been 18 years strong, and the recent sales company you're in now. And what brings us to talk about leadership?
Man, I don't know. Listen, leadership's not easy. And I bet there's some people out there that might want to be into leadership but feel some type of way. And or maybe they look at their current leader and say, man, she's stressed out. I don't want any part of that crap. Let somebody else worry about it. Or it really might be something that inspires you. And you know that maybe you've led people in the past like you did. And so maybe you do want to try your hand at it, but you're new to an organization or you're just not quite sure how to go about it. So I don't know. We were just kicking it around and we just said, so why leadership?
When do you really know that you want to be a leader? Or when's that moment in life where you say it's time to be a leader?
That's a good question, and it's probably a good one to decide if that's your path. What first answer that comes to my mind would be if you're ready for it not to be about you anymore. Because when you're in a sales environment or you're the point guard on a basketball team or whatever it is, man, you need a contract. You worry about your stats. If you're on the sales team, you need to make sure that you're at the top of the list. My name is up there. And that's cool. That's fine. That's what drives sales environments. When you're ready for that not to be about you anymore and to be about 20 or 30 or 40 others, that would be, to me, one of the deciding questions that you would ask. If I'm ready for it not to be about me anymore, then maybe I'm ready for leadership. That's what I'd say. What about you?
So I'm just thinking about myself when I became a leader, and it wasn't really that question of, am I really not to care about me anymore? I wouldn't say the most selfless person in the world. I would also say the most selfish. I'm still working on it, but I mean, I do care about myself. That's not why I became a leader. I think I became a leader when things got too easy not being a leader. And I think I needed a new challenge. And that's when I woke up and said, it's getting boring. It's getting repetitive. How could I make this harder? And when I first went into leadership, I thought you could master leadership just like you could master individual skill or individual job and get to a certain point where you've mastered it. Maybe you get bored of leadership. Maybe you keep growing in the leadership chain because it should never die, right? You keep growing up, up, up until you're at the top. And that's what it was for me. I needed a new challenge. And, leadership, it's been a fun journey. And I haven't really found that moment, maybe that month or those couple of months where you're on the top and you feel like you've mastered it. But it's evolving and changing so fast because you're working with humans and emotions, and humans are roller coasters, and you can't have everybody on a 10 every single day. So it's been a journey, and I'll say this proudly that I haven't mastered leadership yet. And I think it's something tough to master.
Man, no doubt.
But that's what it was for me. I mean, so if you're doing something in your life where you're feeling like it's easy, you're not challenged anymore, you're not waking up with that competitive edge, you're not hungry anymore, that's how I started feeling in the career that I was in. And then I said, why not leadership?
And listen, that's a cool thing about leadership. It's almost like reading a book. Not everybody takes the same thing from it. You take different things. It means different things to you. And so just like in leadership, there's not one way to be a leader or one way to get into leadership, as you just illustrated. And that's, listen, to me, that's part of the allure of it. It's not a go here, push this button, say this, now you're a leader. Listen, at the end of the day, the way that you're a leader is that people follow you, flat out. It's the only thing that matters. And you might impress the bosses or the leaders or the CEOs or whatever, and they might give you a leadership position. But if nobody's going to follow you, I hate to break the news, but you're not a leader. And so there is, listen, it's an ever-going challenge, battle. And listen, let me ask you a question, because I agree with you 100%, but let me ask you a question. What is the coolest thing to you about leadership? What fires you up about it?
That's a good question. And you made a good point, too, about just being a leader all your life, because some people are not leaders and people still follow them, and they could be a leader in their own way without actually having the title of being a leader, because people follow them, you know? Mm-hmm. The best part about leadership is, hands down, those moments where you change somebody's life. It's bigger than just changing a customer's life, or it's bigger than being just a player on the field and doing one thing. But when you do something for somebody, that person could take that back to their family, and that does something for their family, and it does something for their family's family, and they remember you for it forever. I mean, that impact and that feeling that you have is priceless, you know? Just getting thanked or having somebody come to you and say, hey, man, what you did for me this last year allowed me to do A, B, and C, and I can never thank you enough for it. And when you get that kind of thanks, it kind of makes leadership worth it. To me, I mean, that's what keeps me going in leadership, is just seeing the paths that I've helped pave for a lot of people on my team.
It's cool, man.
What would you say for you?
Now, listen, leadership is tough. One of the reasons leadership is tough is because there's not an instant gratification. If you're the point guard, if you're a salesperson, you can go out today and affect your bottom line or your stack rank or your stats, and it will show up in the paper or on ESPN or whatever the deal is, and it will be immediate. Leadership is tougher because, man, it may not. You may do everything right, and your team might still go out and lay an egg or have a tough day. So to me, the coolest thing about leadership to me is, and I was just telling somebody this story the other day. I was out we had a company event. And usually after company event, we're in the city, we go celebrate a little bit. We celebrate together after the big awards show. And I bumped into one of the sales guys that I used to be real close with from a proximity standpoint. He was in my region, and I remember when he first started, and then he graduated to a different region, and we move around in sales a little bit. And so I've seen him, but I haven't really talked to him in a couple years. Mm-hmm. And I saw him over there, and there was a lot of people that we knew, and so you're saying hi and what's up. And he took me aside and said, listen, Lang, you know what the one thing that I miss was, and probably the thing that got me through, was your fist pounds in the morning. And listen, it wasn't a big deal, but you came around to everybody. I was just one of 100 that you pounded that day. But you came around every day and you gave me a fist pound. And I'll tell you, there were some rough mornings that I didn't want to continue, but those fist pounds got me through. And he has no idea how much impact that comment had on me. Uh-huh. But to me, it took me 2 years or 3 years to see that or to feel that. But those are the special things about leadership that sometimes people don't stick leadership out because they want that instant gratification. But, man, that moment right there and many others that I've felt are the hard work you put in, and you don't even realize it. You're not searching for a certain goal or I need to be. You're doing it because you want to better somebody. You want to see how they are. You want to look in their eyeballs in the morning and make sure they're good. And 3 years later, he tells me that's part of the thing that kept him going. To me, that's my moment.
Yeah. No, I had one similar to that. I had a guy I used to butt heads with all the time, and it came around where I got a message from his wife, and she just started thanking me and telling me, you don't know how much you've changed his life, and even at home, how much he's changed, as a man. And just thanking me up and down, saying, God bless you. We all appreciate you and keep doing what you're doing. Never stop doing it. So that was kind of a moment to me because I didn't know that he felt that way about me. I seen it as more just like, come
What
to
you
work.
do every
go
day,
home.
yeah.
Exactly. So that's a special part about leadership. The interesting part about leadership is the every single day challenge, because you could master something in your life and it could become very easy to you, doing a one person job or playing on the field or on the basketball court or whatever it is that you're doing on your own, and just watching out for your own self and your own skills and getting your own self better. That could become easy at a certain point, and you come in every single day and you're mostly doing the same exact things. As a leader, it's different. You create your own destiny, you create your own atmosphere, you create your own culture and environment. You wake up in the morning, you say, what am I going to do today? People are coming in every single day and saying, what are you going to do? You could actually surprise somebody.
Stage.
Yeah, you can make it interesting. You're on stage, and it's more difficult. And that's one of the things I like about it, is that it's more difficult. I came in here a little stressed about leadership, and now that I'm thinking about it and talking about it with you, I think that just makes you stronger mentally. And if you do become a leader and you ever step out of leadership, well, I bet you that anything you do in your life, you're going to be a hell of a lot better because you were a leader.
That's good. So let's go on the other side. We just talked about the coolest thing about leadership. What's the biggest challenge in leadership?
Oh, we're playing
man?
devil's
Let's
advocate.
do it.
All right, I'd love to play devil's advocate. Let me tell you where the dark mind of aces
Okay,
goes.
there you go.
So the cool side of not being a leader, okay, because, listen, I ran my company for 10 years. I started off on my own, distribution sales on the streets. The company got bigger. I was able to get more drivers and salespeople, and I got to a point where I was now in the office and the headquarters, and I was training and I was leading, and I had 15, 20, 25 employees. For 10 years doing that and growing this business. It got to a certain point before I sold this company, I looked myself in the mirror and I said, I will never be a leader again. I said, I don't want it anymore. I want to focus on, I'm sick of the people's problems. This guy's having problems with his spouses. This one right here has a drug problem. This one right here has a showing up to work on time problem. This one right here is just satisfied with doing the bare minimum. I was sick of other people's problems, and I got to a point where, I know we were talking about environment last time, where I felt like the environment of being a leader, sometimes if you're always the best one in the room, or you're always the one driving and has the most fire lit up under your ass in the room, then there's not really much you could gain from those surrounding you. So I got to that point in my company. I told myself I'm not going to be a leader anymore. I went into a sales position after I sold the company, crushed it in that sales position, made the most money I ever made in my life in the sales position. And a year later, I go back into leadership. And now that I went back into leadership, I realized that the reason I went back into it is because the sales role got easy for me, and I wanted a challenge again. And I probably, to be honest, completely forgot about the time I looked in the mirror after I sold the company and said, I'm done being a leader. I remember it now, that's for sure, but I forgot about it then. Went back into leadership. And now after a couple of years back into leadership, and now you always see the bright side. The grass is always greener. So the benefits of not being a leader right now, in my eyes, if I was to ever leave leadership, was the freedom. The freedom of waking up and not having to worry or check up on anybody. So you see, leadership is like having a second family, And it's not a bad thing.
Man.
I love my people, I love them to death. But that's also always heavy on you. When somebody has a tough time in their life, you feel that tough time, just like you feel it with your kids, your brothers, your sisters. You're building a whole nother family. So if it's hard to take care of one family, imagine taking care of two families, And the bright side of not being a leader is waking up, yawning, stretching, and saying, I got to take care of me today.
Yeah.
Which to me in my head right now seems like a piece of cake.
Like I said, man, leadership, it's a choice, man. But it's not about you anymore. That's the barrier. That's the line, bro.
Yeah.
And it's good. That's good, man. It is tough sometimes to be a psychologist and a father and a brother and a friend and all of that. I'm with you. That's a big challenge.
So that's the bright side, that you could wake up in the morning free.
Got it.
Literally free willy.
Got it.
Do whatever you want. What do you think the bright side to you, if you went back to not being a leader right now? What do you think the positives would be?
Listen, so the toughest part about being a leader to me is I think many people overthink things. You wonder how somebody's viewing you. You wonder how that last conversation went, that last huddle went, that new process you just rolled out, and that's a challenge. And there's a thing that goes on with us for some reason, we need everybody to buy in. I need 100% of my team to follow me and support the message and not give pushback and to buy in. Need 100%. And that's just not realistic. It's just not possible. We have humans, 25 of them, 30 of them, more than that sometimes that you're leading. And to assume that you're going to get 100% is unrealistic. So then you find out that that's not the case, that maybe 80% are bought in, 70%, whatever it is. And so when you're looking out there in the audience or you're in a huddle, you're talking to the group, and you know that there's, out of the 25, let's say, folks that you lead, there's 4 of them that don't give a damn about what you're saying. They could care less. You see them checking their watch, looking out the window, body language is messed up. That is the toughest part for me because I overthink it. I need that buy-in. I want to be able to make sure that we're going to charge and hit the goal and all that. And how are we going to do it if everybody's not on the same page, not involved? And so that was probably the biggest challenge for me is how do I still get fired up, lead folks when I know 7 of them don't care? And it wasn't until that I realized it's just never going to be 100%. I was scrounging for it and clawing for it and have conversations about it. How do you get everybody bought in? It's just not going to happen. And
I think if it was possible, then you'd master leadership.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, maybe there's some leaders out there. You got your, I don't know, Tony Robbins or whoever it is that everybody in the audience is jumping up and down, waving their hands, doing their thing. Maybe there's some leaders out there that have 100%. But I bet you even in his shows, there's still somebody that said, man, I paid $99 for this thing. What the HE double hockey sticks is going on?
Yeah.
And so we're smart. We are aware of our surroundings, and how do you deal with that was the toughest part for me. It was the toughest challenge to get over, man. And I think I figured it out, but it's still difficult. Like to this day, if I'm going to get up in front of a group of people and try to give an inspirational huddle or do whatever, and I can tell people, it's we want to gravitate to those 4 or 5 people instead of the 16 that are ready to go jump through jump over the fire or whatever. I'm focused on these 2 knuckleheads that don't care, and it robs the other group from the inspiration and the fire and whatever that you have. And so once I figured that out, it became easier, but it's still a challenge to this day, man. That's my thing about leadership. It's tough.
Yeah, I think that's why you can't master leadership, because there's never 100% buy-in, or there's never 100% of people on your team that just come in fired up, ready to go.
And I was walking around disappointed because, man, 3 or 4 people are not bought in. Something's wrong with me, and you start to question. But once you figure out that that's just the way it is, that's just the math problem you need to solve, then you don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to fret about it anymore. I'm just going to go be me. And eventually, hopefully, that 3 or 4 people come to the other side, or they'll find another leader that helps them out. But that was my challenge. Still my challenge to this day.
Yeah, no, I have a similar challenge. I feel like I operate a lot like a machine when it comes to business and trying to, create money and a career for yourself. So I'm very systematic. If I know something leads to success, I'm going to do it every single day. And
you get frustrated when somebody doesn't follow
yeah,
up.
I'm the living proof that it works. And hey, I'm giving you the structure.
Why the heck wouldn't somebody do it, man? I'm
asking you for a half an hour before you start your day to set up your day this way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you the content. I'm telling you what to say. I'm telling you how to do it. Yet you're drinking coffee, leaning back in your chair and having a conversation and waiting for the buzzer just to get in the fight, with no preparation. And that, to me, I've gotten over it. In the beginning, I didn't get over it, right? I used to come in and get on their ass right away. Start my morning off.
Be frustrated.
What are we talking about? What are we doing? How bad do you want it? And start my morning off like that. When you're right, I did have 8 or 9 or 10 others that were doing those things and trying to get into it. So yeah, focusing on those people that do care and not letting the other ones spoil your mindset or your environment for the day.
So listen, so why leadership, man? If somebody that's listening is on the cusp of, I might want to do it, I might not, what would you tell them? Why leadership?
Well, first off, if you have never been a leader before, then I do suggest you try leadership. It's a different lifestyle, and it's a different animal on its own. And I think that it could take you to a whole nother level in life as far as your skills, your mindset, and your experience. So if you've never tried being a leader before, first off, if you have the passion and you're happy to help others and if you get more satisfaction from helping others than yourself, then you definitely want to be a leader, right? If people follow you, if you're bored, if you need a challenge, leadership, that's why. Because if you need a new challenge, if you want to get better in life, if you want to keep progressing, that's why you should do leadership.
Let me ask you a question, though. So I've had interviews with people that are, just getting in on the ground level. I've had interviews with future leaders or potential leaders. And I'll ask them their why and whatever, and they all say, because I want to help people. But everybody can't be a leader. You're not built that way. So I appreciate the fact that when you want to help others and better others, but everybody says that. Everybody says it. But I don't know if they're serious about leadership. So why, man? Why would you get in? I know you touched on some of them. I'm not trying to hammer you, but.
No, for me, it was a challenge.
Got it.
Helping others, you could help others.
Yeah, you illustrated.
You go down the street and give somebody a banana and you're helping somebody. I mean, it's not. Helping others comes in all forms. For me, it was a challenge. I needed a challenge. I got bored of what I was doing, and I said, you know what? Let's take it a notch up. Let's do this leadership thing. And then when I got into the leadership thing, since there's a growth path and a ladder system behind it, now I want to reach the top of that motherfucker and say, hey, I'm at the top of this leadership thing.
There you go.
And then I get that addiction that wants me to drive all the way towards it, because it's easy to individually own something and master something and be number one at something. But when you're in a leadership role and you got to get a whole group of people to that thing, that's a whole other skill set on its own. And guess what? When you leave that leadership role, or if you move on to do something else, now you're ready and you're equipped to go start your own business, to go start your own team, because you've been through it before. So why leadership for anybody listening? Because leadership is something that you need in your life, especially if you want to go out on your own or do big things and, have people follow you and start that. So if you're bored of what you're doing there and you need a new challenge and you're passionate about helping people, then yeah, try leadership. If you care about yourself and you love the freedom and you love waking up, tying your own shoes and not worrying about anybody else, not having to look to the left or the right, and those are your goals, then you stay on your own. For me, I was mixed in between. I went back to doing it on my own after I sold my company, and I got to a point where I got bored and I said leadership. And it wasn't like I thought it through. I said leadership, I did leadership, and I went all the way through with it.
Yeah, you did.
And now that's where I am.
Doing it at a big level, man.
That's good. Trying every single day.
Yeah. I would tell you, for me, and maybe we'll introduce a new segment once we finish this up. But I think we touched on it a little bit last week. But to me, it's about purpose, man. Money is cool and accolades are cool and titles and all that good stuff. But I don't think there's a better sense of purpose for you to come in and get up and get there early and all that stuff than when you're a leader. And it takes you, when you're not on your A game, you better figure out a way to get there. And because you got 20,
to get there.
You got 25 eyeballs or sets of eyeballs looking at you to say, where we going, man? What's the answer? How do we handle this? And yeah, it gets tiring, and like you talked about right away, was like, man, that means I'm not only helping them at the job, I'm helping them outside, I'm helping with their personal lives, I'm helping with their getting them on here on time. Yep, for sure. But just like we talked about, the coolest thing is when you do those things, when you commit to that, what you can create with the people around you. It's unbelievable to take some folks that didn't even realize that they had this in them, and now they're leading a team of 25. So yeah, I think that why leadership? Because the purpose is so great, and that's the thing that really drives anybody in the workplace. I don't care if you're an NFL football player or a CEO or the lady that runs the diner, or doesn't matter. when you're responsible for others, man, it gives you the ultimate purpose, and people really appreciate it when you dive into it.
If that's your purpose, of course.
For sure.
Yeah. And you said something good that you just reminded me. That's another great thing about leadership is when you're on your own, you could wake up sometimes in the rut. You could go in the rut, and you could have those moping around days where
No time for that.
you feel like life beats you up. When you're a leader, you really can't have those days because people are depending on you, and you're on stage, like you said. You're not always on stage when you're on your own.
Yep.
Now, for me, even when I'm on my own, I feel like for the majority of the time, I could wake up and light myself up and get up there. But a lot of people struggle with that. So maybe if you're somebody that struggles with that, maybe leadership is good for you.
Because
you're on
keep
stage
you
all
on
day.
stage.
You got to come in every day saying, "Hey, people are here for me."
Got it.
They're here for me. So this is called ShockCast, right?
ShockCast, baby.
Yeah.
We're going to change the game with that.
And
Enough of this podcast
Yeah.
thing.
The reason for the ShockCast is we want to give you a shot of inspiration before you leave. So, I mean, I guess, Lang, why don't you start with giving, your shot on leadership here, your final shot for anybody that wants to be a leader out there, or just anything in general about leadership.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go different than leadership. It ties in a little bit, but I'll give you a story. So 1936, the Olympics. The Olympics were in Germany, and at this particular time, there was a man by the name of Adolf Hitler, and his deal was he's gonna create the master race, and he was telling to anybody that'll listen, this is the master race. We'll show you how to do it. We're perfect. All of that. Well, the Olympics came around, 1936, and oddly enough, this was the first Olympics ever nationally televised. So not only is he, pumping this agenda, but it's going to be televised for the whole world to see for the first time ever, and he's going to show his Olympic athletes beat everybody else because they're the master race. Well, track and field was a big deal back in those days. And I'm going to tell you about a man that I don't think you're going to be able to guess about as you're listening to me. I don't think you're going to know who he is. But track and field was a big deal. The 200-meter dash was also a big deal. And the U.S. sent some Olympians over there, and they ran the 200-meter race. This gentleman, this athlete, destroyed Hitler's master race in front of everybody. Wiped him clean, but set the new Olympic record unbelievably. And you don't know who he is. You had no clue who he is. 1936.
No clue.
Well, some people might be saying, I do. And they'll tell me it's Jesse Owens. And I say, well, that ain't the man I'm thinking of. He raced in that race. And you know his name because he won that race. But there was a man ran in that race. His name wasn't Jesse Owens. You don't know his name because he finished 0.4 of a second behind Jesse Owens. So it's a cool story about this guy. Well, his brother also broke the major league color barrier. His brother goes by the name of a guy by the name of Jackie Robinson. You ever heard that name?
Oh, yeah.
So not only did this guy wipe out Hitler's master race on national TV, but his brother's Jackie Robinson. And you have no idea who this guy is. And my question is, how is that possible? How do you not know who this guy is? With those kind of accolades and that kind of famous brother, how do you know? Well, the reason that you know is because he finished second to Jesse Owens. And you know what? Nobody gives a damn about second place. We just don't care. We don't like to say that out loud. We like to give participation trophies and all that. But the proof is in the pudding. The proof is nobody knows about Matthew Robinson. And the reason is because he finished in second place. And history does not like that. So you don't know about him. Your parents, their parents, nobody talked about it. So I'm not saying that first place is the only one, but this guy got a pair of cleats to go running Oregon track. He wore those same cleats his entire Oregon career. Then came home, went to the Olympic trials, and made a spot on the Olympic team with those same cleats. Then he went to the Olympics and ran in those same cleats. Man, oh man. If he'd have got a new set of cleats, we might be talking about Matthew Robinson right now. Maybe if he wanted it enough and demanded some cleats, I'm an Olympic athlete, son, let's go. Maybe we'd be talking about him right now. I got to think that sharper cleats might have got him 0.4 of a second. Anyways, I guess my whole point is nobody cares about second place. So don't get comfortable. Don't be cool with we're close. Man, do what you need to do to get your asses up there, because that's where it's at. That's where history's made. And it's not an insensitive thing. The proof is in the pudding. Nobody cares. The listeners, you don't care about second place because you've never heard of Matthew Robinson. So make sure you do what you do. Inspire the people to the left and right of you. Make sure your environment's good. Study your craft. Get your knowledge, because first place is where it needs to be. It's my shot, baby.
I like that. It's a strong shot. I never heard of him either. That's fun.
There you go.
I'm trying to think of anybody in second place I've heard of. I can't think of anybody that won second place. That's a good shot. I guess my shot would be for anybody that is thinking about leadership or is a leader. The most important thing is pattern interrupts. And that's something that I think I try to do very well at, right? Because I could get very systematic, like I said earlier. But pattern interrupts. If you're a leader out there, even if you're not a leader, if you're individually out there, switch it up. Switch it up every single day. If you're in a sales role, try a different sales technique every single day. If you're in a sport, try practicing differently every single day. If you're running a podcast or a YouTube or a business, try something new every single day. For me, like running my team, like sometimes it'll be a huddle with a video that we watch. Sometimes it'll be audio. Sometimes we'll go for a walk outside. Sometimes we'll go play air hockey in one of the rooms. Sometimes we'll have a flip cup competition. But I always try to switch it up every single day with a new flavor, and that's what keeps things alive. And just switching that thing up every single day. A lot of people get repetitive and stuck in their ways, and that can be very bad for you. And it doesn't only pertain to leadership, but it pertains to everything in your life. Switch it up and just switch up that pattern every single day for whatever you do out there. And I guess that would be my main shot. And my team switched it up on me. I was actually having a real bad day, right? And the next day I came into work, and I've been getting into it with some of my teammates, about the attendance, right?
Yeah.
And I come in and there's nobody there. There's nobody there.
What?
Honest to God, there's nobody there. And I look at my phone and, my superior leader comes up to me and says, "What's going on? Where's the team?" I'm like, "Just back up. Let me see what's going on." I get there. My whole team rushes out from the back. They were hiding, and they surprised me with a birthday cake on my birthday.
Man.
And, that's one of the moments that, number one, they did a pattern interrupt on me.
They did.
I came in there ready to get into, boiling machine mode, and they came out there with a cake, and they're just playing a prank on me, and they're all there on time. So that's not only a shot, but that's also another reminder of why I love leadership.
Maybe even bring in a different leader to come speak to the team.
Yeah.
Huh?
So those are the two shots for you from Big Lang. We got second place. It's hard to say. It's not hard to say. Fuck it. Second place don't matter. You got to fight for first every single month. And my shot for you is pattern interrupts. Don't let it get boring. Switch it up.
No doubt.
That could even go to your love life, your personal life, your business life, your team, yourself, everything. And this is episode 2 of ShockCast.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Hey, thank you, man. It's belated, but we're going to celebrate it right now.
All right, man.
All right, we'll see you guys. Thanks so much.